Good morning from a very chilly, windy Palm Beach here as the investigation continues into the story the country is talking about. Right now, there's an active investigation after yesterday a man shot dead on Mar-a-Lago property accused of trespassing in the middle of the night, and we're learning more about what went down. We do want to get you up to speed with everything that happened yesterday morning, early in the morning. If you did miss any of the details, this is what we know so far. It happened around 1:30 yesterday morning. President Trump was not at his home here at Mar-a-Lago. He was actually in Washington when this happened. Authorities say Austin Tucker Martin, 21 years old, of North Carolina, was armed with this gun and gas canister and went on the property. Martin was then confronted by two Secret Service agents, I should say, and a Palm Beach County deputy.
He was ordered to drop those two pieces of equipment that he had with him, at which time he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position. At that point in time, the deputy and the two Secret Service agents fired their weapons and neutralized the threat.
And as you know, regardless of if the president is in town or not, there is still security around Mar-a-Lago. You might be wondering how the suspect even got onto the property. What we're learning about is investigators saying that Martin drove his car through the main gate on Ocean Boulevard. It is actually normally closed, but apparently the Secret Service saying that the suspect got in when an employee was driving out. More about that suspect, Austin Tucker Martin. We know he's from Moore County, North Carolina is where he came from. This is video of his home. That's about 2 hours east of Charlotte. A Secret Service spokesperson saying it's believed that Martin purchased that shotgun while driving south here to Florida. A box for the weapon was reportedly found in his car. And new this morning, we're learning Secret Service Director Shawn Curran is traveling to Florida. He's going to review this incident with his teams. The Deputy Director of the Secret Service sharing this image of him boarding a plane here. Curran assuming this role last year after, you'll remember, scrutiny of the Secret Service's previous leader following the 2024 assassination attempt of the president in Butler, Pennsylvania. Right now, the investigation is still ongoing, specifically on how this suspect got to the area. So investigators are actually asking neighbors to participate in this investigation, try to see if they have any surveillance video that might have picked up anything unusual.
If you live in the area of the shooting, please check your exterior cameras. If you see anything that looks suspicious or out of place, please contact us at 1-800-CALL-FBI.
And take a look again at your screen. That number is 1-800-CALL-FBI. They are leading this investigation. And this is just the latest security concern that we've seen play out here at Mar-a-Lago. If you've been following our coverage, you know there have been other people who have been arrested for trespassing. Let's run down some of those incidents that we found, about 5 over certain years. We're talking about in 2017, 2019, 2020, 2022, and 2025. Again, these are just the ones that happened on Mar-a-Lago property. But we've seen incidents where President Trump has been a target in the past. There was that assassination attempt that I mentioned earlier in Butler, Pennsylvania back in July of 2024. Then in West Palm Beach, the assassination plot at Trump International involving Ryan Ruth, who, as we know, was recently sentenced to life in prison for that September 2024 incident. But again, we want to stress the president was not here when this happened, this past incident of this man being shot dead on property here. Only on WPBF 25 News, we're actually hearing one-on-one from Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw about what he says went down. He says that apparently they were notified immediately that an intruder had entered the property here. That being said, it's unclear exactly what type of technology might have been used to detect that on the grounds. Investigative reporter Terry Parker did speak with the sheriff again, and he told her while Martin seemed to make it onto the perimeter, he was nowhere close to the building. Sheriff Bradshaw tells us at this time they don't plan necessarily to have any security enhancements at Mar-a-Lago after this.
No, it worked like it was supposed to work. There's too many of us and too many Secret Service people there that are able to detect anybody that makes it inside the perimeter and then go right there and stop them. Exactly what happened.
and Ocean Boulevard on Palm Beach, as you can imagine, during that investigation was closed. But as this continues, it has reopened. We're seeing regular traffic going by, and of course, more news crews are coming to this area as the story unfolds. What we're working to find out for you this morning, there's still a lot to uncover here, and we're asking the question specifically about this suspect's motive. Were there any signs of a reason why he might have come to this area and done this? Also, was that a planned thing? Was it spur of the moment? That's being looked into. We're not sure why he was armed or carrying that gas canister specifically. It's also unclear if he knew the president was not here at the time. And we're working to learn the identities of the Secret Service agents who may have fired shots, as well as the Palm Beach County deputy involved in this as well. So a lot of things to answer here as we look forward into the day and days ahead. Another security scare on the president of the United States playing out right here in our backyard. We're going to have continuing coverage throughout the day for you and bring you the latest. Still waiting on the official response, if any, coming from the president about what happened here at his home. Live here in Mar-a-Lago, I'm Stephen Graves. Aaron Nathley, I'll send it back to you.